Hey, what's up, guys? I'm in my kitchen right now and been putting out a lot of posts about my own nutrition on Instagram. And as with anything I tell you here, I'm not specifically recommending for you. I recommend that you go out and you do the research necessary in order to determine what works best for you. But I'm going to let you know what I eat. I'm going to do a blog about this. I'm going to be including recipes on my new group member site, which I'll be posting. I'll be putting links to in the description box. But I want to give you a good idea of what I eat. First things first, I want you to understand something about me. I don't eat much. All right. And this is unlike a lot of bodybuilders and a lot of people. Now, you could say that I am not that big of a person, and no, yeah, absolutely, I'm not that big of a person. I'm not as big as a lot of the guys you see here on YouTube. I'm not as big as a lot of the guys you see in the IFBB or anything like that. That being said, I have been able to build a good amount of muscle, and if you watch my Instagram posts or anything about my training, I am pretty strong for my size. I'm about 193 pounds. I squat 405 for 5 to 8 repetitions without a belt, no wraps. I can front squat 315 easily for repetitions. I bench press 315 easily for repetitions. I haven't done a 1 rep max in a long time. Now, those aren't record-breaking numbers, but you know what? I'm getting older and I'm not trying to break records anymore. I've won some powerlifting meets in the past. I've had some success in bodybuilding shows. But that being said, take this for what it is. Take this as far as you want to take it. I eat twice a day. All right, I don't eat more than that. Okay, and my first meal I don't eat until about 1 o'clock. Right, and that's usually after I've trained. Earlier in the day, I will have some quick digesting fats like MCT oil for energy. Sometimes I'll have some butter for the butyric acid, some grass-fed butter. I'll show you guys this. Grass-fed butter, Kerrygold. I have that for the butyric acid, and that's something that's great for me because I have ulcerative colitis, and it helps to heal my gut health. Right, it helps with keeping my intestinal lining intact. It actually helps to heal it. And for those of you who don't know what ulcerative colitis is, basically my immune system attacks my intestinal tract. And when I've been on normal bodybuilding diets in the past, where I've been eating 8 times a day and eating tons of carbohydrates and wheat and things like that, that actually made me sick, and I just wrote an article for that on warriorsoulfitness.com that you can check out on the blog site. But let me just go over my meats with you first. First things first, ground venison, right? That's one of my favorite protein sources. It's lean, it's got a great amino acid profile, and I'll usually have that for dinner. By the way, my first meal of the day is normally tons of vegetables. So I will load up my plate with green vegetables. I like dandelions, I like spinach, I like arugula, I like kale. And then I'll have 4 pasture raised eggs, right? Now the thing about eggs is you really want an egg yolk. I'll have the whole egg. You want an egg yolk that is orange, not like pale yellow. If it's pale yellow, it's awful. It's not really good for you. Orange egg yolks have tons of vitamins in them, good fats, omega-3s. You want the ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s. You want a higher amount of omega-3s because omega-6s lead to higher amounts of inflammation. That's not good for muscle building. That's to say if you are eating eggs or whole eggs in your diet. I will have a few pieces of uncured bacon for fat. And again, usually that meal is after my workout, probably about 1 or 2 hours after my workout. I'll have tons of vegetables with that. I'll load my plate with vegetables. And again, a lot of the ideas here are counter to what you're going to read in Getting to Shredded, because when I wrote Getting to Shredded, I wasn't experiencing autoimmune problems, and it was a different world for me. So this diet is very different. So that's my breakfast. 4 eggs, 3 or 4 pieces of uncured bacon, and a buttload of vegetables. I'll also pour MCT oil and some apple cider vinegar over that. I'll wait like 4 or 5 hours. During that time, I might have a smoothie. And what I'll do is I'll put some I'm So Alpha superfood in there. I'll put a little bit of protein powder. I'll I'll either go with whey protein powder. If I'm going to go with whey, I go with I'm So Alpha. But if my gut is bothering me, I'll usually go with a vegetarian protein like pea protein isolate. And that's if I'm having inflammation. If I'm going through an ulcerative colitis flare-up, I will usually switch to a vegetarian protein to get some of that dairy away from me. And then at nighttime, that's when I go for dinner. And that's where you'll see the things like the ground venison come in. I'll usually have around 6 to 8 ounces of that with tons of vegetables and some avocado. I'll also have free-range chicken. Those are free-range chicken breasts. One of the biggest parts of my diet, probably the biggest protein source that I consume, and you guys are going to be a little bit surprised by this, but it's liver, particularly grass-fed beef liver. I'll also eat chicken liver a lot. I probably eat that, 5-6 times a week. And the reason I do that is because of the micronutrient load. Liver's got tons of vitamins in it. It's way more nutritious for you than muscle meat. It's got lots of protein. It's got all the protein you need. But the micronutrient load is why I eat that. And what I'll do with liver is I'll cover it with a little bit of almond flour, a little bit of pasture-raised egg, and spice it with garlic and stuff, and then cook it up in some MCT oil or some olive oil. And then eat that along with tons and tons of vegetables. So the basic idea behind my diet is I understand how low calorie this is, and I understand how freaky that's going to sound to a lot of you. I don't really eat much more than 900 to 1200 calories per day. And again, I'm not recommending this to any of you, but I've been thriving off of it. My mind has been clear, my training has been great, and I haven't lost muscle. In fact, I think I was on the scale yesterday, and I had actually gained a couple of pounds, and I'm still lean. So that's why I do this, because I've experimented with the 8-meal-a-day program. I've gone up to 5,000 calories a day before, and it made me sick. I thrive on lower calorie foods. My family naturally tends toward diabetes and inflammation. My grandfather had his first heart attack when he was 35 years old. That's my age. So this is the type of diet that my genetics thrive off of. And so take that for what you will. Again, I'm not recommending this for you specifically. If you wanted to experiment with it, you could. And I don't do this with any of my clients. None of my clients have this particular plan prescribed to them at all. Because my clients all have different genetics than I do. We work to figure out what works for them. Another thing I do a lot is I consume bone broth during the day, and these are beef marrow bones. There's some guy on Twitter called Stock Stickler, and whenever I post anything about bone broth, he goes, "Oh, it's also called stock." But I will almost always have some cooking up in my slow cooker here, and basically the way you get that is you get some beef marrow bones, or you get some a whole chicken, and you roast it. I roast my beef marrow bones for about 30 minutes before I put them in here, just to get a little bit of a browner liquid for the broth, and it's a little bit tastier. And the beauty of bone broth is that it contains collagen, which is fantastic for your joints. It's also fantastic for fighting inflammation, and it's great for gut health. Again, that's my primary concern. Being somebody who has ulcerative colitis is taking care of my gut health. Another thing is I do load up on micronutrients. See what I have in here. Turmeric is a big supplement that I take. I take this about 3 times a day, 400 milligrams. I have a prescription vitamin D3 because I am vitamin D deficient, and that's another reason why you can have some autoimmune deficiencies like ulcerative colitis, is if you're low on vitamin D3. And then, of course, my I'm So Alpha Omegas. And one of the biggest things I consume twice a day is my I'm So Alpha Superfood. And I'll usually put that into a smoothie with some organic coconut milk. So, yeah, I'm about 2 whole food meals and 2 smoothies a day. That coconut milk is full fat, and it has about 10 grams of fat per serving, and I'll usually put about 6 ounces of it in there, and then I'll throw an avocado in, I'll throw some chia seeds, I'll throw some cacao powder. Cacao is great for keeping testosterone high, and it's also great for reducing inflammation. And cacao is also a great pre-workout. For those of you who are seeking a natural pre-workout, cacao nibs are fantastic for getting you some quick energy. And I'll throw a whole avocado in there, some coconut milk, some ice, and a little bit of protein. Either I'm So Alpha whey isolate, or I will throw in some vegetarian protein if I'm having gut issues. So I know that's kind of complicated, but again, the basic premise behind the diet that I'm following now is low on calories, but high on micronutrients. So high nutrient density, low calories. And that's what works for me. That's what's been helping me thrive into my older years, as opposed to my younger years when I was making myself sick from overeating and filling myself up with tons of calories that really weren't doing anything for me in the first place. And I'll talk more about the nutrient density versus calories in another video. So you guys take care. I love you all. Peace.